Let me ask you something honestly. Have you ever wondered if people still notice you the same way? Do you question your attractiveness as time moves forward? Many men think about this quietly, but never say it out loud. As years pass, it feels natural to doubt how others see you. But the truth is simple. You may be more attractive than you believe right now. In this video, we are going deep into clear signs that show you are still a good-looking older man. These signs are not about flashy looks or surface charm. They come from confidence, presence, and life experience. And here is the surprising part. Many of these signals are already happening around you daily. You just might not be noticing them yet because they appear subtle and quiet. Stay with me until the end, because once you understand these signs, your perspective may completely change. You will start seeing yourself differently, and more importantly, you will begin to notice how women respond to you in ways you may have missed before. I'm Mary Smith, and welcome to the Mindful Senior Living YouTube channel, where we explore the deeper layers of connection, confidence, and emotional intelligence as we move through life with more awareness and intention. Now I want you to pause for a second and really think about your own life. Not the version of you from 20 years ago, not the version shaped by comparison or self-doubt, but the man you are today. Because if you're being honest, there have been moments, quiet, almost invisible moments, where someone looked at you a little longer, listened to you a little more closely, or seemed more at ease in your presence than you expected. And maybe you brushed it off. Maybe you told yourself it didn't mean anything. But what if those moments were signals? What if the way people respond to you now is not a decline, but a transformation? I want you to stay with me here, because what we're about to uncover may shift how you see yourself in a very real and lasting way. And if at any point this resonates with you, take a moment to like the video or share your thoughts in the comments, because your experience matters here. The first sign is simple, but incredibly powerful. Younger women feel comfortable around you, and this comfort doesn't show up in loud or dramatic ways. It appears in subtle interactions that are easy to overlook. A conversation that flows without effort. A smile that lingers just a little longer than expected. A sense that she's not in a rush to leave the interaction. These are not random occurrences. Psychologically, comfort is one of the strongest foundations of attraction. When someone feels emotionally safe, their guard lowers. Their body relaxes. Their attention becomes more present. And this is where genuine connection begins. I remember speaking with a man in his late 50s who told me he often found himself in conversations with younger women at his workplace. He didn't think much of it. He assumed they were just being polite. But when we explored those interactions more deeply, something became clear. They weren't just talking to him, they were opening up to him, sharing small frustrations, asking for opinions, even lingering after conversations had technically ended. What he perceived as normal was actually meaningful. He wasn't trying to impress anyone. He was simply being grounded, calm, and present. And that energy created a space where others felt safe to be themselves. You see, many younger men are still searching for that sense of inner stability. They may be driven, energetic, even charismatic, but there is often a layer of uncertainty beneath the surface. And women can feel that. But you, through years of experience, have developed something different. You speak with intention. You don't rush to fill silence. You listen, truly listen, without waiting for your turn to talk. And that creates a powerful emotional effect. Because when a woman feels heard, she feels valued. And when she feels valued, she becomes more open. That openness is where attraction quietly begins. Now, here's something you can start doing immediately. The next time you're in a conversation, resist the urge to perform or impress. Instead, focus on presence. Maintain gentle eye contact. Allow pauses. Let the conversation breathe. You might be surprised at how naturally the connection deepens when you stop trying and simply become aware. The second sign reveals itself through compliments, but not always in obvious ways. If people notice your style, your grooming, or even your scent, it means you stand out. And this isn't about vanity, it's about self-respect. The way you present yourself sends a message long before you say a single word. It tells the world how you see yourself, and people respond to that. There was a time when a man I worked with decided to make small changes in how he dressed. Nothing extreme, just better fitting clothes, a cleaner haircut, and a subtle attention to detail. Within weeks, he began receiving comments. Not dramatic praise, but small acknowledgments. "You look sharp today." "Something's different about you." "That color suits you." These may seem insignificant, but they are powerful indicators. They show that people are noticing you, and more importantly, they are responding positively. From a psychological perspective, humans are wired to pick up on patterns of care and consistency. When you present yourself well, it signals discipline. It suggests that you take your life seriously. And women, in particular, often associate that with how you will treat relationships. It creates a quiet sense of trust before anything is even spoken. So here's a simple exercise. Take a moment this week to evaluate your appearance, not from a place of criticism, but from a place of intention. Ask yourself, does the way I present myself reflect how I truly feel inside? If not, make one small adjustment. It could be as simple as refining your grooming routine or choosing clothes that fit your body better. These small shifts can create a ripple effect in how others perceive you. The third sign is found in eye contact, and this one is often overlooked. When a woman looks at you and holds that gaze just a second longer than usual, it carries meaning. It's subtle, but it's real. That extra moment reflects curiosity. It signals interest. And in many cases, it's the first step of attraction. Think about the last time you noticed someone looking at you. Did you hold the gaze, or did you look away quickly? Many men instinctively break eye contact, especially if they feel unsure. But what if you allowed that moment to exist? What if you met that gaze calmly, without pressure or expectation? Eye contact is deeply rooted in human psychology. It creates a sense of connection and presence. When sustained naturally, it can increase feelings of trust and attraction. But the key here is authenticity. It's not about staring or forcing intensity. It's about being comfortable enough with yourself to remain present in the moment. I once spoke to a gentleman who told me he started practicing this intentionally, not in a mechanical way, but with awareness. He noticed that when he maintained soft, relaxed eye contact, conversations felt different. People leaned in more. They smiled more. The energy shifted. And over time, he began to feel more confident, not because he was trying to be, but because he was experiencing real connection. If this resonates with you, I encourage you to try it. The next time you're in a conversation, simply stay present. Let your eyes communicate calmness. You don't need to say anything extraordinary. Your presence will do the work for you. Another strong sign is when people, especially women, ask for your advice. This goes far beyond casual interaction. It reflects trust. It shows that they see you as stable, thoughtful, and capable of offering perspective. And this is where your life experience becomes incredibly valuable. Over the years, you've navigated challenges, made decisions, learned from mistakes. That wisdom is not always visible on the surface, but it reveals itself in how you speak and how you listen. When someone comes to you for advice, they are recognizing that depth. I remember a woman who consistently sought guidance from an older colleague. At first, it was about work-related issues, but gradually, it extended into personal topics. She trusted his judgment. She felt grounded in his presence. And while he never saw himself as particularly attractive, the reality was that his emotional stability and wisdom created a strong sense of admiration. And admiration is powerful. It often forms the foundation of deeper attraction. Because when someone respects you, they begin to see you differently. They become more attentive, more engaged, more invested. Here's something to reflect on. The next time someone asks for your advice, don't dismiss it as casual. Recognize it as a sign of trust. And instead of rushing to provide an answer, take a moment. Listen fully. Respond thoughtfully. Your presence in that moment is more impactful than you may realize. Confidence is another clear signal, but it doesn't look the way many people expect. It's not loud, it's not attention-seeking, it's quiet, it's steady. It's the kind of confidence that doesn't need validation because it already feels secure within itself. You may have noticed this in yourself without even labeling it. The way you walk into a room without urgency. The way you sit comfortably without needing to adjust constantly. The way you speak without rushing or over-explaining. These are all expressions of quiet confidence. And here's what makes this so attractive. In a world filled with noise and constant self-promotion, calm presence stands out. It creates a sense of ease. It reduces tension. And women, in particular, are highly attuned to this kind of energy. It feels safe. It feels real. But let me challenge you with a question. Do you truly recognize this quality in yourself, or do you overlook it because it doesn't match the traditional idea of confidence? Because once you begin to see it, you can start to own it more fully. If you're finding value in this conversation, take a moment to subscribe and stay connected, because what we're exploring here is not just about attraction, it's about understanding your worth on a deeper level. Physical fitness is also noticed, but not in the exaggerated way society often portrays. You don't need extreme muscles. What people notice is your energy, the way you move, the way you carry yourself. That sense of vitality communicates something powerful. A man who takes care of his body is often seen as disciplined and consistent, and these traits extend beyond physical appearance. They suggest reliability, responsibility, a commitment to growth, and these are qualities that naturally attract respect and admiration over time. Think about your daily habits. Are you moving your body regularly? Are you paying attention to your energy levels? Even small improvements can make a difference. A short walk, light strength training, better posture. These changes don't just affect how you look, they influence how you feel, and that internal shift becomes visible to others. Now let me ask you something deeper. When was the last time you genuinely felt proud of yourself, not because of external validation, but because you knew you were taking care of your life? That feeling, when cultivated consistently, becomes one of the most attractive qualities you can carry. And as we continue, I want you to stay present with these reflections, because what you're beginning to see is not a list of techniques, but a mirror, a way of recognizing what is already within you. As you continue reflecting on these subtle shifts in how people respond to you, something important begins to unfold. Attraction at this stage of life is no longer about chasing attention or proving anything to anyone. It becomes about energy, emotional presence, and the quiet signals that pass between people without words. And one of the clearest of these signals reveals itself through something very simple, yet incredibly powerful: laughter. When a woman laughs around you, especially in a natural, unforced way, it tells you far more than you might realize. It's not always about the joke itself. In fact, many times, the words you say are only a small part of it. What truly matters is how you make her feel in that moment. Laughter is an emotional release. It's a sign that tension has dissolved, that she feels comfortable enough to let her guard down. And when that kind of comfort exists, attraction often begins to grow quietly underneath it. Think back to a moment when someone laughed freely in your presence. Not a polite smile, not a forced reaction, but genuine laughter that seemed to come from within. Did you notice how her body language changed? The way she leaned slightly closer, the way her eyes softened, the way the conversation seemed to flow more easily afterward. These are not random reactions. They are emotional cues and they matter. I once worked with a man who believed he wasn't particularly funny. He told me, "I don't crack jokes like other guys. I'm just not that type." But when we explored his interactions more closely, a different picture emerged. He had a calm, observational sense of humor. He would make small, thoughtful remarks that caught people off guard in a gentle way, and women responded to that. They laughed, not because he was performing, but because he was present and authentic. That authenticity created a relaxed environment where laughter could happen naturally. So here's something to consider. You don't need to become someone else to create connection. You don't need rehearsed lines or forced humor. What matters is your ability to be present, to notice the moment, and to allow your natural personality to come through. That's where real connection lives. And if you want to deepen this even further, try this small exercise. The next time you're in a conversation, pay attention not just to what is being said, but to how it feels. Notice when the energy becomes lighter. Notice when smiles appear more easily. And instead of rushing past those moments, allow them to expand. Let the conversation breathe. You'll begin to see how powerful those small shifts can be. Now, as we move deeper into this, there's another layer of attraction that becomes more subtle with time, and that is flirting. But unlike the obvious, sometimes exaggerated flirting you might have seen in younger years, this version is quiet. it's refined. It lives in small gestures and unconscious behaviors. A woman may adjust her hair while speaking to you. She may mirror your posture without realizing it. If you lean slightly forward, she might do the same. If you speak calmly, her tone may soften to match yours. These are not coincidences. They are deeply rooted in human psychology. Mirroring is a natural response when we feel connected to someone. It's the body's way of saying, I feel aligned with you. And here's where many men miss the signal. Because these gestures are subtle, they're often dismissed. But when you begin to recognize them, a new awareness opens up. You start to see that attraction is not always loud or obvious. Sometimes it's happening right in front of you in the quietest ways. Let me share something meaningful here. A gentleman once told me he never believed women were interested in him anymore. He assumed those days were behind him. But one day, during a simple conversation at a cafe, he noticed something different. The woman he was speaking with began to mirror his movements. When he rested his arm on the table, she did the same. When he smiled, she smiled back almost instantly. It wasn't dramatic, but it was consistent. And for the first time in a long while, he realized something important. He wasn't invisible. He had just stopped noticing. Now, I want to ask you a question. How often do you truly observe the people around you? Not in a critical way, but in an aware, present way. Because the more you observe, the more you begin to understand the language that exists beyond words. Another powerful signal appears through touch, and this one requires a deeper level of awareness. Touch, when it happens naturally, is rarely accidental. A light brush on your arm during conversation, a brief touch on your shoulder, standing slightly closer than necessary. These moments may seem small, but they carry meaning. Touch is one of the most direct forms of human connection. It bypasses logic and speaks directly to emotion. When a woman initiates even the slightest physical contact, it often indicates comfort and a level of openness that goes beyond casual interaction. But here's where balance becomes important. The goal is not to overanalyze or to react in a way that disrupts the natural flow. Instead, simply notice. Allow the moment to exist without forcing anything. Because true confidence is not about reacting quickly. It's about being grounded enough to let things unfold naturally. I remember a story from a viewer who shared that he began noticing these small touches once he became more aware. At first, he thought they were accidental, but over time, he realized there was a pattern. Certain women seemed more physically expressive around him, and the only thing that had changed was his awareness. He wasn't doing anything different. He was simply paying attention, and that awareness changed how he saw himself. It shifted his internal narrative from doubt to quiet confidence. Not because he suddenly became someone else, but because he finally recognized what had been there all along. Now let's move into something even deeper, something that speaks directly to emotional connection. Memory. When a woman remembers small details about you, it's a powerful sign of interest. It means she is not just hearing you, she is truly listening. She is storing pieces of your conversations, your preferences, your stories. Think about how rare that is in today's world. People are often distracted, moving quickly from one thing to another. So, when someone takes the time to remember something you said days or even weeks ago, it reflects a level of attention that goes beyond surface-level interaction. I once spoke to a man who mentioned, almost casually, that a woman he knew remembered his favorite type of coffee. He didn't think much of it at first, but when I asked him to reflect on it, something shifted. He realized that she had been paying attention in a way that others hadn't, and that attention was meaningful. From a psychological standpoint, remembering details is linked to emotional investment. The brain prioritizes information that feels important or relevant. So when someone remembers you, it often means you hold a certain space in their mind, one that stands out from the background. Here's something you can do with this awareness. The next time someone recalls something about you, don't brush it off, acknowledge it, appreciate it, because those small moments are building blocks of connection. And as we continue, there's one more sign that becomes increasingly clear when you begin to see it: a woman finding reasons to spend time with you. This is one of the most direct indicators of interest, yet it often goes unnoticed because it can appear so natural. She may extend a conversation longer than necessary. She may suggest meeting again, even in a casual way. She may show up in spaces where she knows you'll be. These are not random choices. Time is one of the most valuable resources we have. And when someone chooses to invest it in you, it means something. But let me challenge you gently here. When these moments happen, do you recognize them or do you explain them away? Do you tell yourself, she's just being friendly? Or do you allow yourself to consider that there might be more beneath the surface? Because awareness changes everything. The moment you begin to see these patterns, your entire perspective shifts. You move from uncertainty to understanding, from doubt to clarity. And I want you to sit with that for a moment, because what you're discovering here is not just about how others see you, it's about how you see yourself. And that internal shift is where true confidence begins. If you've been quietly questioning your value, your presence, or your attractiveness, I want you to know this. What you bring to the table now is deeper, more grounded, and more meaningful than you may realize. And as you begin to recognize these signs, you step into a different kind of awareness. One that doesn't rely on external validation, but simply notices what is already there. And if this is opening your eyes in a new way, take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments. I read them, and they often inspire deeper conversations that help others feel seen as well. Because you're not alone in this experience. Many men go through this quiet transition where the external noise fades and something more subtle begins to take its place. And once you learn how to see it, you can never unsee it. As this awareness continues to deepen, something begins to shift inside you in a way that's difficult to explain at first, but incredibly powerful once you feel it. You start to realize that attraction is no longer something you chase or question in the same way. It becomes something you recognize, something you allow, something you quietly embody. And one of the most important transformations that happens at this stage of life is the way you begin to carry your own value. Because here's the truth that many men were never taught. Attraction is not just about how others respond to you. It's about how you relate to yourself when no one is watching. It's about the thoughts you allow to take root in your mind. It's about whether you walk into a room already questioning your worth or whether you move through the world with a quiet understanding that you belong exactly where you are. I want you to think about something for a moment. Have you ever been in a situation where you felt completely at ease within yourself? Not trying to impress anyone, not overthinking your words, just simply existing in that moment with a sense of calm confidence. Now compare that to a moment where you felt unsure, where your mind was racing, where you were second-guessing how you were being perceived. The difference between those two states is not your Vneshny circumstances, it's your internal alignment. And women feel that difference instantly, not because they are analyzing you consciously, but because emotional energy is something we all pick up on. When you are grounded in yourself, when you are not seeking approval, your presence feels steady, it feels safe, it feels real, and that kind of presence is rare. I remember a conversation with a man who told me that he felt invisible in social settings. He said, "It's like people just don't notice me anymore." But as we talked more, it became clear that his focus was almost entirely outward. He was constantly scanning the room, wondering what others thought of him, comparing himself, measuring his worth through imagined judgments. And that internal state was affecting how he showed up externally. So we worked on something simple but profound, shifting his attention inward. Instead of asking, "Do they like me?" he began asking, "Do I feel aligned with myself right now?" That single shift changed everything. Because when you are aligned with yourself, your energy stabilizes. You stop trying to control the outcome of every interaction. You become more present, more authentic. And ironically, that's when people begin to notice you more. Now I want you to try something the next time you're in a social situation. Before you walk into the room, take a slow breath and bring your awareness into your body. Notice your posture, relax your shoulders, let your movements be natural, not rushed. And instead of focusing on how you're being perceived, focus on how you're experiencing the moment. This may sound simple, but it creates a powerful shift in your presence. Another important layer to understand is emotional pacing. As we grow older, we develop a different rhythm in how we communicate and connect. You may have noticed that you no longer feel the need to rush conversations or fill every silence. And that's not a weakness, that's maturity. Silence, when used naturally, creates space. It allows the other person to step in. It invites them to share more. And in many cases, it actually increases attraction because it builds a sense of curiosity when you don't reveal everything at once. When you allow moments to unfold gradually, the interaction feels more engaging. There's a story that comes to mind about a man who struggled with feeling overlooked in conversations. He believed he needed to speak more, to be more entertaining, to hold attention. But when he began to slow down, when he allowed pauses and listened more deeply, something interesting happened. People started leaning in. They started asking him more questions. The dynamic shifted, not because he added more, but because he allowed space. From a psychological perspective, this makes perfect sense. Humans are naturally drawn to what feels balanced. When one person dominates a conversation, it can create subtle tension. But when there is a rhythm, a flow between speaking and listening, it creates comfort. And comfort is the foundation of connection. Now let's talk about something that often goes unspoken, but plays a significant role in attraction: emotional self-sufficiency. This doesn't mean isolation or detachment. It means that your sense of well-being is not dependent on constant external validation. You enjoy connection, but you are not defined by it. This is one of the most attractive qualities a man can develop, especially over time, because it signals strength without rigidity. It shows that you are capable of standing on your own. Think about it this way: when someone feels that you need them to validate you, it can create pressure. But when they sense that you are already grounded within yourself, it creates freedom. They can choose to connect with you, not because they feel responsible for your emotions, but because they genuinely enjoy your presence. I once spoke with a woman who described this feeling very clearly. She said, "There's something different about being around a man who doesn't need anything from you, but still chooses to be present with you." That distinction is powerful. It transforms the entire dynamic. So here's a question for you. Are you seeking connection from a place of fullness or from a place of lack? And there's no judgment in this question. It's simply an invitation to reflect. If you feel that there are areas where you rely too heavily on external validation, that's okay. Awareness is the first step toward change. You can begin to build a stronger internal foundation by investing time in yourself, engaging in activities that bring you fulfillment, developing routines that support your well-being, spending time in reflection rather than distraction. And as you do this, something remarkable happens. Your interactions become lighter, more genuine. You stop overanalyzing every response. You allow conversations to flow naturally, and people feel that shift. Now let's return to something we touched on earlier, but go deeper into it. The idea that your value is not fading, it's evolving. This is where many men get stuck. They compare themselves to their younger selves, focusing on what has changed physically rather than recognizing what has grown internally. But here's the reality. Depth, emotional intelligence, and life experience are qualities that cannot be rushed. They are developed over time, and they carry a different kind of attraction. I remember a man who told me he felt less confident because he didn't look the way he used to, but when we explored his life, it became clear that he had gained so much more. He had clarity, he had resilience, he had a deeper understanding of people and relationships. And once he began to see those qualities as valuable, his entire demeanor changed. He stopped focusing on what he had lost and started appreciating what he had gained, and that shift was visible. Not just to him, but to everyone around him. So I want you to consider this. What have you gained over the years that your younger self didn't have? Take a moment to really think about that, because those qualities are part of your attractiveness now. They shape how you show up. They influence how others experience you. And here's something important to remember. Attraction is not a fixed trait. It's a dynamic experience. It changes as you change. It evolves as you grow. And when you begin to align with that evolution, you step into a version of yourself that feels more authentic and more grounded. If you've been quietly underestimating yourself, this is your invitation to look again. Not through the lens of comparison, but through the lens of awareness. Notice how people respond to you. Notice the subtle signals we've been discussing. Notice how you feel when you are fully present, because the more you notice, the more clarity you gain. And clarity leads to confidence. Not the loud, performative kind, but the quiet, steady kind that doesn't need to prove anything. And if this is resonating with you on a deeper level, take a moment to engage with this community. Share your experience. Let others know what you've started to notice in your own life. Because when you speak your experience, You not only validate it for yourself, but you also create space for others to see themselves more clearly. As we move forward, we're going to bring all of these pieces together in a way that allows you to not only recognize these signs, but to embody them fully in your everyday life. And that's where the real transformation happens. And as all of this begins to come together, something powerful starts to settle within you. Not a sudden dramatic change, but a quiet realization that grows stronger the more you sit with it. You begin to understand that your attractiveness was never something that disappeared. It simply evolved into something deeper, something more grounded, something that not everyone has the awareness to recognize immediately, but those who do feel it strongly. At this stage in your life, the game has changed. It's no longer about competing for attention or trying to stand out in obvious ways. It's about alignment. It's about how your inner world reflects in your outer presence. And when those two things are in sync, you create a kind of energy that people are naturally drawn to without fully understanding why. I want you to imagine walking into a room now, but this time with a different mindset. Not scanning for approval, not measuring yourself against others, but simply arriving as you are. Your posture is relaxed, your movements are unhurried, there's a sense of ease in the way you carry yourself, and without saying anything, that energy begins to influence the space around you. People notice, not always consciously, but they feel it. Conversations begin more naturally, eye contact lingers a little longer. There's less resistance in interactions. And what's happening here is not magic, it's coherence. Your internal state is no longer in conflict with your external behavior. You are not trying to be confident. You are simply not resisting yourself anymore. This is where everything we've talked about starts to integrate into your daily life in a very real way. The comfort others feel around you, the subtle compliments, the lingering eye contact, the laughter, the small touches, the remembered details, the effort people make to spend time with you. These are no longer isolated moments. They become part of a pattern that you can now recognize with clarity. And once you see that pattern, your behavior naturally adjusts. Not in a forced way, but in a way that feels aligned. You begin to respond instead of react. You give your attention more intentionally. You become selective with your energy, not out of ego, but out of self-respect. There's a story that captures this shift beautifully. A man once shared that after becoming more aware of these subtle signals, he stopped chasing conversations that felt one-sided. Instead, he started investing his time in interactions where there was mutual energy, where there was ease, where there was genuine interest. And something remarkable happened. His social life didn't shrink, it improved. The quality of his connections became stronger, more meaningful. This is an important lesson. Attraction is not about being liked by everyone. It's about being aligned enough with yourself that the right people naturally resonate with you. And that requires a certain level of trust. Trust in your own value, trust in your own presence. Now let's bring this into something practical that you can carry with you every day. Awareness without action fades quickly. So I want to give you a simple but powerful way to anchor everything we've explored. Start by becoming more intentional with your daily interactions. Not in a complicated way, but in small, consistent moments. When you speak to someone, give them your full attention. When you listen, truly listen, without preparing your response. When you walk, be aware of your posture and your pace. These small adjustments create a ripple effect in how you are perceived. Another important step is reflection. At the end of your day, take a few moments to think back on your interactions. Not to judge yourself, but to observe. Where did you feel most present? Where did you feel disconnected? What moments stood out? This practice builds awareness over time, and awareness is the foundation of growth. And here's something that may surprise you. The more you focus on your presence, the less you will feel the need to seek validation, because you begin to experience connection directly, rather than questioning whether it exists. I also want to touch on something deeper, something that often sits quietly beneath the surface. The fear of being overlooked. Many men carry this fear without ever fully acknowledging it. It shows up as doubt, as hesitation, as a tendency to withdraw before fully engaging. But here's what I want you to understand. Being overlooked is not always a reflection of your value. Sometimes it's a reflection of where your attention is. If your focus is inward in a critical way, if you are questioning yourself constantly, that energy can create a barrier. But when your focus shifts to presence, to awareness, to genuine engagement, that barrier begins to dissolve. You become more visible, not because you are trying to be, but because you are no longer holding yourself back. There was a moment shared by a viewer who said something very simple, yet very powerful. He said, "I stopped trying to be interesting and I started being interested." That one shift changed how people responded to him. Conversations became more engaging, connections felt more natural, and most importantly, he felt more like himself. So let me ask you something now as we come to this point in the conversation. What would change in your life if you truly believed that your value is not behind you, but within you right now? How would you walk differently? How would you speak? How would you show up in your relationships? Take a moment to sit with that question, because your answer holds more power than you might think. And as you move forward from here, I want you to carry this awareness with you, not as a set of rules, not as something you need to constantly think about, but as a quiet understanding that shapes your perspective. You are not trying to become attractive. You are recognizing the ways in which you already are, through your presence, through your experience, through the way you make others feel when they are around you. And that realization changes everything. If this message connected with you in a meaningful way, take a moment to support the channel by liking this video. Share it with someone who might need to hear this. And if you haven't already, subscribe to stay connected, because these conversations are just the beginning of a much deeper journey into understanding yourself and your relationships. And I'd really like to hear from you. What is one sign you've started noticing in your own life after reflecting on this? Your insight might be exactly what someone else needs to read today. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about attraction, it's about awareness, it's about growth. It's about stepping into a version of yourself that feels more aligned, more grounded, and more real than ever before. And once you reach that place, you don't just see the difference, you become the difference.